This week on the Poisonrana free feed, we had the chance to talk to Holly Hood Haley J from the Netflix documentary series Wrestlers, Women of Wrestling, and OVW.
Hi, I'm the bougettoest baddie around, Holly Hood Haley J.
We loved you on Netflix Wrestlers.
Man. Thank you.
I want to start off by hey, how's things have changed since being on Netflix?
Well, since then, everyone finally knows that I'm a superstar. I don't just say it and not mean it, you know. I get recognized every time I go out somewhere. My pay grade has came up, you know.
Search Poisonrana in your podcast app, hit subscribe, and check out all the free shows covering wrestling, pop culture, and more.
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking these things as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Harrington here with Davie Portman for upNXT. You found us on POSTwrestling.com or whatever podcast app you are using. And of course, we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, postmarks. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. We've made it to a deadline, and we're here with our NXT Deadline post show on the Post Wrestling feed. So hello, NXT friends. Hello, Postmarks. Hello, Poison Pals. Hello, everyone. We are here to chat about some NXT featuring Shawn Michaels and CM Punk, the future of professional wrestling.
Yeah, two guys who pissed off a lot of people and then 10 years later was just trying to make friends or make money. Yeah. Depends which way you look at it.
Can only do, well, we're going to talk about CM Punk and Shawn Michaels possibly burying the hatchet. They're like best friends. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
But we're going to talk all about it because who would have thought that CM Punk showed up on NXT? But WWE is just like, we got him. Let's put him on every show all the time. I think they're doing a good job of like, hey, what show will he sign on? I mean, it should just be pretty clear on Monday night.
NXT.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Right.
They're the one with the hot new channel they're moving to. Yeah.
Yeah, the real money
is... The CW stands for CM Punk, no?
Yeah, CM Punk Wrestling Network.
Yes, exactly.
We just got to get that dream match of CM Punk and Lexis King.
Oh, yeah.
Again, they may have fought in AEW, but yeah. We are here. It's a Saturday night. Yes, we're going to talk all about some NXT. If you don't know who we are Braden and Davie. We are Poisonrana. Go to Poisonrana.ca for everything that we do. We do so many other shows you may have heard off the top. We do some interviews and wrestling podcasts, movie reviews, all that sort of thing. So go check us out. But before we jump into our review, we have some news for our listeners, for our friends.
We do indeed.
Because, I mean, this is a long time coming because a lot of our listeners who love us, we love you guys back. They keep asking us, hey, guys, how do I get, the Poisonrana frog on a shirt? How do I get this thing on a hoodie? Well, now is the time. We finally have our own merch site. And with a thanks to our good friend, the Mad Ginger himself, Dickie Bird, we can present to you a brand new website that is a spot for you to go and get your Poisonrana merchandise, which is, drum roll please, go to chopped-tees.com. POSTwrestling.com, which at this very second just launched. It was not private until right now. So during the show, have yourself a little scroll of all the fine froggy merchandise that you can see is now available worldwide. Yes, that's right. Worldwide, you can get yourself some Poison Rana merchandise. And wow, Dickie did a fantastic job with that website. You got it on the video and everything. Look at that. We're like true shopping network channel.
I feel like Michael Cole and King trying to explain how the WWE network works back in
Tout
2014.
it out. Yeah.
It's you go to this website, you see a shirt you like. So maybe you want a Poison Rana Everybody 3/4 sleeve shirt. You click on it, you pick your size, you add it to your cart, and then before my credit card details show up on the screen, you buy it with your money, and then you wear it, and you support us proudly. But it isn't just Poison Rana stuff on here. We also have Shot in the Dark. Did you want a shot glass in the dark? Well, now you can. You can drink out of John Cena's bearded face, if you like. You can wear a Shot in the Dark hat. You can also go to What Up Doe, because you are sporting one of their hoodies right now. You can get a What Up hoodie. You can even get a What Up Doe bucket hat, because we know B Detroit loves his bucket hats, as well as our sweet, sweet Eagles Don't Hunt Flies merch. Do you want to fist with an Ambrose coffee mug? Yes, be an Ambro with the boys. We're going to be uploading so many more designs on this site. It's giving us a lot more freedom than we used to have. But first of all, we do want to thank our friends at PWT who have supported us the last few years. But it's time for us to do our own thing. And this is something that Dickie's been working on for quite a while and kind of have come in with us to kind of launch this. Look, you like those damage control lasses? Well, be a Kabuki Kai pirate hugger, if you will. So all of this is available right now. And what is pretty awesome is this ships worldwide from like different locations all over the world. So you don't have to wait for it to be shipped, say, from the US to the UK. There are shipping stations within the UK. So if you place an order today, you should get it well in time for Christmas, which is pretty cool. So give yourself a Christmas present, give some friends, family a Christmas present, and in doing so, you give us a Christmas present as well.
Yeah, shout out all our listeners around the world because we can't do this continuously all the time without our Poison pals and our friends out there. So to finally have our own merch store, again, thanks to Dickie, it's just super awesome. So we're going to be right now. There's a lot of products up there. We got like some crazy looking hoodies, some mugs, like you said, shot glasses, hats. I know I'm a hat guy. I got the snapbacks. There's going to be some different variations. We're going to have the freedom to upload everything. So there's even dad hats for you daddies out there. So really,
and if you've been watching us for a while, you know I like my summery shirt. So come summer, we'll have a whole line of froggy Hawaiian shirts that you can go out and look fly as fuck in.
So go check out, if you're listening right now, chop-tees.com. Go look at all the stuff that we got for our Poison pals. Shout out Dickie Bird. It looks amazing. So more to come in the future. More to come of different merch and shirts and hoodies and all fun stuff. So right now is just the launch of all this stuff that we have up there, and get yourself a holiday gift. And it will pretty much come before Christmas, because we tried some shipping methods and they seem to work really well.
Absolutely. And
can't wait for you guys to check them out.
I'm in British Columbia right now, beautiful British Columbia, and my last night will be on Tuesday, so I won't be on Tuesday's shirt. But the man, the mastermind behind all of this, Mr. Dickie Bird, will be taking my place on Tuesday night to talk all about NXT and talk a little bit more about this new adventure the three of us are going on.
It's going to be an interesting show because Dickie has not watched NXT in a while. He listens to us every week, I fucking hope. But he's tuned in last week and then tonight and was giving me some thoughts in the chat. So I'm definitely interested to have him on the show, not only to talk about t-shirts, but to see what exactly he thinks and knows what's going on in NXT. So Tuesday night, hear from the man himself on this very feed for a new episode of Up Next, because there'll be a lot of fallout from this deadline show. But yeah, go check out chop-tees
Absolutely. Well, I think we should probably get into a bit of NXT Deadline, should we not?
Absolutely. Gotta shout out our boys, Sino and Frank, who were at this show live. And I know Sino and Frank were like, oh, it's in Bridgeport. And I asked them like a week ago, like, are you gonna go to the new headquarters, right? WWE got that new title.
Mm-hmm.
All day I'm waiting. I'm like, I wonder if these guys are gonna go, because like the photo there would be pretty sweet. But before Sino sent me his photo, I saw another person posting a photo. That was CM Punk.
Yes.
And then right away, people are like, okay, so he's probably showing up on the show tonight. And he even posted a photo in the WWE headquarters gym, which is pretty funny. Shout out. That place looks awesome.
Well, wasn't he saying he missed his flight, so he was gonna have a phone call, but I'm in the area, so might as well just show up to NXT.
Sure, yeah.
Believe what you will. But yes, NXT Deadline 2023. We did have a bit of a pre-show with a match rescheduled from Tuesday's show, where Axiom and Nathan Frazer were disrupted by the women in the Iron Survivors Challenge. So they had their rematch tonight, continuing their professional rivalry, kind of playing up how Nathan Frazer might be kind of getting himself into a bit of trouble, saying things that maybe he shouldn't. He's still like a baby face, but just a bit stupid, and kind of obviously Ilja taught him a lesson the other week. And tonight was Axiom kind of doing the same thing, beating him with the golden ratio. But again, these two have fantastic chemistry. I feel these two you could just throw on any show and you know you're going to get some really like fast, high impact work from them both. And they had their best of 3, I think, a few months ago, and then continuing it with this.
Yeah, like I know we've seen these guys tied up before. They're very similar, they're very alike, and they've had some history even before here. So I know they always cook. And the match was supposed to be on Tuesday, and I'm like, all right, well, they had some great things, and they teased Frazer at the end losing, like he was almost going to hit him or something, but instead he shook his hand and gave him a hug. So the John Oliver character is going to remain a babyface, but wouldn't like like the Grayson Waller effect is like the show where he just disses people. Like I think the hard hitting truths might actually be better if he were to like really like be a dick about it.
It's a good idea, and I think we said before, I think he's got the delivery, like the tone of a John Oliver correctly. It's just the material. John Oliver's material is very, very good, and you know, WWE writers aren't that funny a lot of the time. So there's maybe something in there, but I do see maybe them going with this heel turn a little bit down the line, because he is quite an annoying character, and obviously his offense is very babyface friendly, but I felt over the last couple of weeks we have maybe had a bit of a tease that Frazer might turn down the line, or maybe the crowd turns on him first. I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, Axiom offered him a mask.
He did.
He's like, look, I got on SmackDown. You could do the same thing, buddy. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So maybe the masked Axiom lost the like luchador mathlete kind of stuff, which is cool. But now he's just like some masked dude. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. It was a pretty good match.
We open the show with Sexy Boy playing and Shawn Michaels coming out. Now, Shawn in his like post wrestling career hasn't had the greatest fashion sense in the world, but I thought he dressed up to the occasion tonight.
No, absolutely disagree.
No?
He's
Really?
wearing blue. He's wearing a blue jacket, a blue shirt, and a blue tie. And then he wants someone to sign to NXT. No, you don't even look like you work in NXT.
I mean,
you work for the show on Friday.
It wasn't an old T-shirt with a tatty blazer over the top,
okay,
and his kind of Man from Home Alone hair poking out of his hat. I thought he looked a little smarter than usual, but you're right. He could have worn some black and gold.
We're both right. Yeah, like he looked good, but I was like, what's with the blue on blue on blue? Like, did Shawn join the Crips and I wasn't aware of this or something? But yeah, hearing his music, we don't hear his music on NXT as often. I mean, he's the GM here, but lately Ava Rain is. But I guess we'll find that out on Tuesday. But like hearing his music, I was like, oh man, because that was my first ever ringtone. And like it still triggers me, but yeah, I got pretty excited that he was opening the show.
Yeah, and this crowd, I think it was according to WrestleTix, like over 5,000 there. This crowd seemed really hot, and definitely the hottest NXT atmosphere I think we've had since the kind of takeover days. This crowd seemed to kind of, know who everyone was on the show, are following the stories, and really seemed excited. And I think, as you said, just kicking things off with Sexy Boy, there was a real like party atmosphere, I thought, to start this show off. And Sean says, hello, boys and girls. Welcome to NXT Deadline. This is WWE's final PLE of the year, and I have a question for you. Are you ready? And then Cult of Personality hits, and CM Punk comes out wearing a sweet, sweet pink Bret Hart hoodie.
Oh my God, I absolutely lost it. Like, all right. You come out to do a segment with Sean and you're wearing a Bret Hart hoodie. I definitely think that's pretty funny. And what was funnier is even they used it in some good old banter in the promo. But I mean, yeah, like the cat was somewhat out of the bag with Punk tweeting and posting on his Instagram, like, hey, sorry, not tweeting. He doesn't use that anymore, but like Instagram being like, hey, I'm here. So people did assume he would be involved, but to have him come out like right away and also with Sean was like, it had my attention right away for sure. So not the two people I thought we would see in the ring together at the same time for sure. So
Punk is striking like the Shawn Michaels pose on the ramp instead of its clobbering time. He hugs an Ed Sheeran looking kid in the front row and huge CM Punk chants.
Yeah,
and
when he did the stretch, he's like, oh, how did you do that? Oh, man. I'm like, why do you do that?
He says to Sean, hey, I'm sorry to step on your gimmick. Do you want to tell everyone to suck it or something? I forgot if you're allowed to say it these days. And kind of does the Paul Rudd. Who'd have thought it, eh? You and I. Who'd have thought it?
Huh?
Look at us.
Yeah, he does. He definitely does it word for word. Like, look at us, huh?
And Sean kind of says, I don't even know what I was going to say. I've kind of forgotten my words. And I think he was maybe being honest there. He tells CM Punk he's wearing a nice hoodie. And Punk's like, no, come on. You guys made up. Look, even I made up with Triple H. This is all about healing. And he says, I've got some good news and bad news. He's playing with the crowd. What do you want to hear first? And he says, the brilliant thing about you forgetting everything, and you know what, I forgot everything I was going to say as well, is having people come up to me backstage saying that they grew up watching me. And you know what, Sean, I grew up watching you too. And as much as they wanted to take selfies with me backstage, I want a selfie with you right now. So Shawn Michaels and CM Punk have a selfie in the middle of the ring. All I'll say is cherish this honeymoon period as we're having it, folks. And he says, I missed my flight today and I owed you a phone call. So I thought, why not I show up? And everyone's asking, am I going to SmackDown? Am I going to Raw? Or is the latest NXT superstar named? And puts the mic up to the crowd and they all chant CM Punk, CM Punk. And then Cult of Personality hits again, maybe a tad delayed. There was a little awkward, like, oh, are we saying a bit more? What are we doing?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what was happening there. Yeah.
They hug again, they're laughing, and we fade to the credits. But I thought this was a fun way to open the show.
Yeah, wow. Triple H and CM Punk have buried the hatchet. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels have buried the hatchet. Here's Punk and Shawn hugging in the ring. Like Punk is Team Bret, so he should automatically not like these guys. And look, now they've all buried the hatchet. Money talks, baby. But isn't it weird that all these years ago, if you were to say, imagine Bret Hart now owns his own rum and a bar, but Shawn Michaels teaches the young kids today how to wrestle. I wouldn't believe you. I would not believe you whatsoever.
It's true.
But now that is an actual fact. So I do want to check out that bar. But yeah, this was so funny. Punk wearing this hoodie right away just made me start cackling like a little kid. Was it the best segment ever? No, it was kind of weird and did seem like they didn't really know what they had planned or forgot or something. But either way, I definitely bit the line there.
I thought that was quite charming in a way, though, that they were both just like kind of giggling, having fun. Like they're so charismatic that the crowd didn't care. You're seeing Shawn Michaels and CM Punk in the ring together. And there are similarities, between CM Punk and Shawn. Like both pissed off a lot of people and left this company and then came back somewhat to open arms. So, I thought this was pretty fun. Will he go to NXT? We'll see.
There's some big dream matches. CM Punk, Lexis King comes to mind. I need to see him punch him. He's got the most punchable face in the company. CM Punk Vaughn.
CM Punk Von. We need to see Lash Legend do the power slam on CM Punk as well, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't. Yeah, he's not that big. He doesn't even look like he's.
No, but Punk
doesn't
does
even
that.
look like
But Punk does that move a lot, right? He does the three in a row, right? Yeah. So there we go. And it's Lash Legend, so why not?
Punk. There's some dream matches, but I wouldn't hold your breath. But I will say we'll probably maybe see some of these guys get called up in the next like short future. Like a Braun Breaker CM Punk genuinely does sound like a good match where he would his bone just turn to dust. But yeah.
The other thing worth noting, and I did put out this tweet earlier, the last time CM Punk was on NXT was 11 years ago when he faced Antonio Cesaro and Cassius Ohno, and he partnered Seth Rollins.
That's right. That's right. We did a show on it.
We did indeed, and that is actually available for free now on our Patreon if you want to check that out. And
yes, I think if you go to our Spotify Patreon, if you search Patreon and Poisonrana Patreon Spotify, it lists all the episodes, obviously behind a paywall. But I believe if you make one of them free, it opens it up. So if any Spotify users there, go check it out.
Exactly. And then our first match of the night is for the North American Championship. It's Dirty Dominik Mysterio versus Dragon Lee. Rey Mysterio enters first. He's going to be on commentary for the match. He's in the corner of Dragon Lee, but obviously his son is out there too. And Dominik Mysterio comes out, but this time, no Judgment Day. He's doing this by himself. And we go into the match. There's a head scissors takedown by Lee, followed immediately by the tope con hilo. He hits the combination in the corner, like we see Naito do for a 2 count. And then Dom flips Lee over the top rope, and Lee kind of gets his leg caught awkwardly and seems to like kind of twist his knee a little. And this allows Dominik to follow up with a DDT on the apron. He then poses on the top rope and looks at Rey, blowing kisses to his father, mocking him, and then does the Eddie Guerrero shimmy and senton atomico. And
I love this. Rey Mysterio on commentary. Every indie wrestler should take note here. Rey Mysterio says, look at Dom. Keeps doing everyone's moves. You know, you should be more creative, be more innovative. Don't steal people's moves. Quote Rey Mysterio. I know he's talking about his son, but Dom, this is obviously a joke because Dom, the storyline, he's Eddie's kid and Rey Mysterio and all that. But like, why do so many people do the Three Amigos like all the time? Like,
and coming from Rey, who was so innovative, like every single match you saw, he'd do something completely new and would never do it again. Like it's,
I don't think Rey Mysterio is trying to be like snipey because he's Rey Mysterio. He's like the nicest guy. He always looks good, by the way. He looked like such a G, even in crutches. But I think also maybe he was like, yo, everyone out there, stop doing my moves. Do the 619. That's a nice shout out. Cool, do it. You know, I stole that move too, but figure out your own shit. I think that's what Rey's trying to say.
Especially these people who like never met Eddie. I feel there are people now who weren't even alive when Eddie was alive. Who are like, Eddie.
I love Eddie. We love Eddie, but
Booker on commentary kept on talking as if Rey wasn't there as well, saying, you know, Dom's done more in his career already than Rey has. And Vic's like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, Rey was a 5-time cruiserweight champion, but Dom in like his second year is North American champion. And Vic's like, Rey held the world title. What are you talking about? And Rey's right here, sat next to you. And Rey's just too nice to really fight back with Booker.
It's because Rey's beat him a few times. Actually, Booker beat Rey for the title, so maybe Booker's. I don't know, but that was funny, pretty funny. Booker. I mean, this is an evergreen quote here, but Booker was on one tonight.
He was on one tonight. Dom hits the Three Amigos. Lee then fights off Dom off in the corner and hits the double stomp to the chest on the apron, and both tumble to the floor, make it back into the ring on the 9 count. And then Dom gets Irish whipped in the corner, does a headstand like on the turnbuckle, and gets super kicked in the mouth. And then Lee follows up with his brother's move, the bull's horns, the drop kick to the corner, and then hits another double stomp, this time in the ring. Goes to the pin, but Dom gets his hand on the ropes. They both start trading kicks. Lee goes for the Liger bomb, but Dom slips out and hits a sweet-looking power bomb with the stack for a 2 count. Then catapults Lee in the ropes. Goes for the 619, but Lee ducks it. this time connects with the Liger Bomb and then hits Destino for the 1, 2, 3 and new. Dragon Lee wins.
Yeah, I know this comes out of the sad story of Wesley on last week's show where he's, injured for a long time. And it's cool that we got Dragon Lee inserted into this match, but I feel like he's already moved on. So this maybe brings him back to NXT. So I don't know how long exactly this reign is, but on the plus side, I think Dom has moved on from NXT a little bit as well. Like I feel like we've had enough of him and let him go back. I can't say this was one of the nicest looking Dragon Lee matches. Like Dom definitely still does have a lot to learn when it comes to wrestling. There was a few like slip ups here and there, but for the most part, I just thought it was Dragon Lee really beating him up. Like 2 of those stomps, right? Like he kind of solidified like I beat Dom. But following along with like the Judgment Day story, no Rhea Ripley, no mommy. We are Sans mommy here. So that's definitely purposely done to play into like a further storyline. I'm sure like on Raw or something. So yeah, I'm happy that maybe Dom is kind of gone from NXT, but where this title goes, I'm sure we'll get some crazy matches with like Dragon Lee, Axiom, and there's a few other people for sure, but not my match of the night, but it was still a fun opener.
Yeah, it's just really like unfortunate timing because I think Wesley winning this title would have this place would have erupted. I think a couple of months ago, when you were telling this story with Dragon Lee and Dom, you'd have got a bigger reaction. But it's just like, oh, let's just go back to that story we were doing because it's easiest to tie it in, and I completely understand why they do it. I thought the match was fine. I think these two actually have pretty good chemistry. I definitely think Dragon Lee is one of Dom's better opponents. I think he gets the best out of Dom. But I didn't feel there was a real like crescendo in the match. It just kind of, all right, we've hit our time. Let's hit our finish and win. And I think for a title that Dom's had such a grip on for so long, I almost would have liked, Judgment Day to try the interference spots and Ray getting the belt away from Rhea and having Dragon Lee win it, overcoming them all would have felt a bit more like triumphant. It just felt like, all right, it's time to take it off Dom now.
Yeah, again, I think that will play into story. Like, oh, mommy wasn't there, so that's why I lost. And that's why you suck, Dom, because you don't have your friends. I'm sure we'll be talking about the same situation come night 2 of WrestleMania when Roman doesn't have anyone helping him and finally loses the title, maybe.
What? WrestleMania next year or the year after?
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, if he wants to beat Hogan's run, no finishing the story anytime soon. But yeah.
So we then have our first Iron Survivor Challenge match of the night. We're starting off with the women, where the winner of this match will be facing Lyra Valkyria at New Year's Evil for the title. And this is a new match type, debuted last year. The way it works is it's 25 minutes. You start with 2 competitors, and every 5 minutes, another person enters the ring until all 5 are in there. But pinfalls can happen at any point. And if you get pinned or submitted, you go to the penalty box for 90 seconds. And at the end of the match, the winner with the most points, the most pinfalls or submissions wins. And we're starting off with Fallon Henley. Did you see her bar rag this time for her entrance?
I saw her bar rag, and I loved the commentary story of now why she's called Top Shelf. They had to literally explain to us.
Yeah.
As a young girl, she'd look up at her grandpa's bar at the top shelf and go, I need to be the top shelf of wrestling. Yeah, that's why I go to the bars too. Whenever I look up at the top shelf.
I find it funny because I think as a little girl, you're looking at like the top shelf tends to be, like your high-end scotches and things like that. If I'm a little girl, I'm looking at the bright raspberry sourpuss, the blue curacao, the fun drinks. I'm probably not
Fallon. She's top shelf.
That Glenlivet 12. Yeah, that looks good. I'm the top shelf and I'm going to be a wrestler. So we start off with Fallon Henley and Blair Davenport. And this starts with both of them just trying to catch the other with an early pin. So they're just rolling back and forth with pin attempts. Fallon hits a sweet-looking leg sweep pin attempt. And then finally, Blair catches Fallon with a big boot to the face, followed by a sliding kick for a 2 count. And then Fallon pretty much hits Swerve's house call, like the running kick to the side of the face and a big punch to the face for a 2 count when we hit the 5-minute mark and Tiffany Stratton comes out. And I might be wrong. I think this was new music.
Oh, no, don't do that to me. You do that all the time. And I'm like, this NXT music, like, I don't know. I actually didn't notice.
So now the 2 heels are teaming up on Fallon. There's a double arm bar from both of them. They're both throwing Fallon into the barricade. And then Stratton turns on Blair with a super kick to the jaw and then hits a handspring elbow, which she almost overshoots and kind of flips over the turnbuckle. But it actually made it look way more impactful and actually kind of made sense of the cartwheel and the handspring that you're building up all this motion. And then there's an Alabama slam from Tiffany, but Blair breaks up the pin. Yeah.
Yo, Tiffany does a cartwheel into like a lift up into the Alabama slam. So yeah, I've never seen that before. She is incredible. I'm trying to see if it was new music. Someone else, a few people on Twitter also saying the same thing. So maybe it's changed or something, but I think she needs to be gone from NXT like tomorrow, like Monday, because she's got like everything. She was so impressive in this match, but great move.
Great move. Blair breaks up the pin and pins Fallon instead. So Blair Davenport is the first on the leaderboard. And then we hit the 10-minute mark. So Kelani Jordan comes out and she hits a cartwheel double elbow to Blair and Tiffany. Remember, Fallon is in the penalty box now. And then hits the double drop kick, a.k.a. the kangaroo kick, to both of them. And then the one-of-a-kind moonsault to Blair Davenport. But Tiffany breaks it up. Fallon is then let out of the penalty box and goes right after Tiff. There's a blockbuster from Fallon, followed by Shining Wizard to Tiffany, and Fallon pins Tiffany. So now it's Fallon and Blair on 1 point, and Fallon kind of getting a little bit of retribution after her little feud with Tiffany a few months ago. So then Kelani rolls up Fallon for a 2 count. They're both trading pin attempts back and forth. There's a bridge out from a pin attempt by Kelani, and then Tiff gets out of the penalty box and now goes immediately after Fallon, and then Lash Legend enters the match to a pretty big ovation here. Bridgeport, a big Lash Legend fan.
I mean, yeah, either people here in Connecticut really are a fan of Lash Legend, or maybe they watched last week and that spot with Otis really got people talking. Like, I think that spot really made her. I'd say she wasn't really on anyone's radar since coming to NXT because she hasn't really shown too much in the ring, but post that spot, like, I feel like she's a completely different person going into this match. And I thought she looked pretty good in this match as well.
I agree. There's a kind of Tower Doom spot in the corner. Lash takes off like 2 of them first, and then a double superplex to Kelani and Blair, followed by a kip up. She then hits a choke slam on Stratton. And then, like we saw Otis do on Tuesday, the choke slam into the power bomb onto Fallon, stacks Fallon and Tiffany, and gets 2 points from this pin. Now, I question this, because technically, isn't Fallon Henley pinning Tiffany as well?
Yeah. She was laying on top of her, but I guess that's the ref counted as Lash. It's like when Roman pinned Danielson and Edge, right?
Right.
He was like, I just called them both by their wrong names there, but it's, I guess it's kind of the same thing, but yeah, pretty much Fallon should have also maybe got a pin.
So Lash immediately gets 2 points and is ahead on the leaderboard. Blair then launches Kelani out of the ring onto Legend, and this is when Metaphor run out. So Noam Dar, Oro Mensah, and Jakara Jackson, and they're blocking the penalty box. So Fallon and Tiffany aren't able to get out of it. So Fallon climbs out the top of the penalty box, and as she's getting her balance, Tiffany climbs up behind her and pushes her off of it, which sends her crashing off of this penalty box through the announce table. And then
this was funny because you could tell they were a little nervous up there, like climbing this ridiculous thing. And Fallon was waiting to be pushed for like so long. And Tiff is like, can I do it? Are you good? And Fallon's like, yeah, and started shaking her head like, yeah. And then she gets pushed. But, you're getting thrown off something. Yeah. So
Tiffany then hits a swanton off the box, taking out Metaphor and Blair. And this got the big holy shit chance from the crowd. This looked really good.
That was pretty impressive. She has a great looking swanton bomb dive.
Lash then hits a splash to Blair for a 2 count, a splash to Stratton for a 2 count. And then Kelani jumps off the top rope with a Rana onto Lash, but gets caught in like the powerbomb position. And now Lash is swinging her around, knocking down Tiffany and Blair like a kind of battering ram. And then
Very
Kelani
impressive.
counters this into a sunset flip. But as like she's trying to like get Lash down to the mat, Tiffany runs in with a double stomp to Kelani, which kind of moves the pendulum over to the other side, and then runs the rope, hits the double stomp to Lash, and then Blair throws Tiffany out, picks up the pin on Jordan, and now it's Blair on 2 points, Lash on 2 points, and Fallon Henley on 1 point, with Tiffany and Kelani on 0. Lash then carries around both Blair and Fallon, one on the back, one on the front, and does her move where she bounces them up and down the top and middle rope. I think she needs to eliminate this one. This doesn't look quite as good. And then gets drop kicked by Tiff. And then there's a step over kick from Kelani, like RVD. Kelani Jordan does a lot of Rob Van Dam moves. Clearly a fan.
One of a kind.
And then Kelani counters a suplex with a stunner to Lash Legend, and then a high cross to Lash. And then Tiffany follows up with the prettiest moonsault ever onto Lash Legend. So now Tiff is on the board with 1 point, and Lash is in the penalty box. So she's in there. Remember, it's 90 seconds, and there are only 100 seconds left on the board. Kelani hits a 450 splash to both of them, but Fallon breaks up the fall. There's then a single crab from Fallon, and then Blair comes behind her with a sleeper hold, and then Kelani jumps on top of Blair, and then Blair hits an avalanche German suplex to Kelani, which just turns her inside out, and then goes for the big boot on Fallon and gets the pin. So now Blair Davenport is in the lead with 3 points. Lash comes out of the penalty box with 10 seconds to go, and Blair just runs out the ring. And they've added this thing now where the lights are flashing red to do the like countdown that time's running out. And Blair just runs down the clock. The bell rings, and Blair Davenport is your Women's Iron Survivor.
Yeah, a pretty impressive match. Definitely better than I thought it was going to be, considering there's some people in here who are pretty new to this kind of thing. But Kelani Jordan especially, and Lash Legend, like, definitely had some spots and moments that, like, really shined, I thought. Like, especially Kelani with, like, some of the fiery moves, like the 450 onto 2 people. You had Lash using her as a weapon, and, like, again, was, like, definitely didn't think it would get to quite this level of like some good athleticism between everyone, and definitely helps like showcase some new people, because like your Tiffany's again, I see her leaving really soon. So I imagine like have one more feud with Fallon and maybe give her the win to give her some steam here and move on up and go on to Raw or SmackDown, because she's just waiting to be a bigger star. So yeah, I got into it. There, of course, there was some fun. Again, that spot up top where she was like, "Can I do it?" Yeah, do it. Okay, that was like nitpicking, but like, yeah, there was some good stuff in this. I am shocked at the winner. I think that really sucked the air out of the room, because not really the most interesting person. Hell, when it came to this match, she didn't even really do that much memorable stuff. So I'm not necessarily as excited to see Blair versus Lyra, and I don't think many of the people in the crowd were either. But as Lyra, I'm sorry, as Blair is like standing there, she then cuts a promo. Basically,
yeah,
like, fuck you.
I really like this match. I thought they booked it well. Kind of, they had the most experienced women start the match and basically the greenest ending the match, but they finally figured it out with Lash Legend, I think. We saw that in that mixed tag on Tuesday. Her impressiveness is her strength, and doing these big power moves. And I thought they really kind of picked her spots well in the match. I thought everyone had their shine. And I really like this concept, actually. I really want this to be a match on 2K. I know you and I kind of play our multi-man Iron Man matches, but I think the I think the penalty box sounds gimmicky, but I actually quite like it. Like, I like the idea of once Lash was pinned and she's in there, she's like only got 10 seconds to kind of break things up. And I think it allows these moments where you can kind of put 3 people in the box like we see in the men's match and go back to the singles match without having, all right, who's sleeping on the outside while people are just having their singles match. So I think it's quite good. It's something you can jump off of and things. I think so far, like, these matches really worked last year, and I really enjoyed them this year as well.
I don't like the penalty box thing. Like, I know that you have multi-people matches, and that's usually the spot where it's like, okay, now let them wrestle. We're gonna like kind of chill over here and wait for our spot. I still much prefer that. Like, I think it's literally just another thing for them to like place and to jump off of. But for a once in a year thing, like, totally fine. If this was like, okay, we're gonna go back to this for next Tuesday, like, no, like I wouldn't like it as much. But when they add like the lights and the sound effects and like the war games thing, like the crowd can get super into it, like, oh shit, but it's so campy, right? Like,
it's stuff crowd get into, and I think they do a good way with like the scoreboard on the screen of like making it as clear as possible, like the little timers and everything. Yeah, I like it. I think this match is fun. I think Blair, it kind of makes sense. She's a big heel for Lyra to go against. I think the match will be good. I think Blair Davenport is a good wrestler. I just don't find her character particularly interesting.
yeah.
But this is for New Year's Evil. It's not a PLE. It's like one of the featured like Tuesday shows, right? So, yeah. So kind of makes sense. She's the biggest heel. Tiffany's had her time. I would have liked to see Fallon like a babyface versus babyface, but I guess they want something a bit more meaty for Lyra. As you mentioned after the match, Blair gets on the mic, calls out Lyra Valkyria, who comes out, stands tall with the title, when a returning Cora Jade attacks her from behind and holds up the title, indicating that she's going to be going after that as well.
She looks different.
Yeah. Been away for 4 months. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Eating good.
Yeah.
She was rocking the Sin City Jessica Alba inspired outfit here. The top with the danglies and the chains. Just missing a cowboy hat. But yeah, right. I mean, she heard CM Punk was on the show. She got on a plane real quick to get down there, and also posted later in the night, here's the photo you were all waiting for.
Yes.
Which is her and a photo of Phil. So yeah, she's back.
We see Trick and Mello warming up backstage. Mello asks how Trick is. He says he's locked in, and Mello is kind of saying, look, I did this match last year. Iron Survivor is about timing and execution. And Trick tells Mello to take care of Lexis tonight. And Mello says, yeah, he's going to get his. And kind of the undertones throughout this whole conversation is still kind of a lack of trust between the two of them. And we go to our next match, Lexis King versus Carmelo Hayes. My first note for a Lexis King match is and will always be, as long as he has this facial hair, Lexis King looks fucking ridiculous.
Oh, man, he took it to next levels. You gotta give this guy all the respect because man, if you thought this guy's facial hair was bad and like so ridiculous, like you said, this guy took it to, he now has his hair like almost Jericho WCW vibes, even with the gear and everything too. But wow, okay, so his lineup, his facial hair, now he's got hair, the blonde locks in the back, but like the front part of it is like also dyed blonde and stuff, but like cornrowed, like he's got it braided in the front kind of thing. And then like the, party in the back. No, party in the back, party in the front. Really. I don't know what
just
going
party
on
everywhere.
But wow. Like this guy is like, all right, how do I get people to hate me just by looking at me? He is definitely nailed that. So it's 100%. Wrestling. He's doing this on purpose. So the Riz King, as some people call him. I don't know if he actually is, but wow, what a look. I didn't even think he could top it, but yeah.
Mello comes out with a little bit more of a subdued, understated entrance to normal, which commentary were picking up on. Didn't really seem his usual, like, arrogant self. Lexis
is nervous. That's why, right? Because the whole storyline of what's been going on with the footage and the cameras and stuff.
Exactly. Lexis goes to shake his hands. He's playing up that they're, mates, and they've been in on this attack with Trick Williams together. And Mello slaps it away and says no. There's some nice Ranas and arm drags from Melo and drop kicks King to the outside. King goes for a chop and misses and hits the ring post. And this allows Melo to capitalize by just attacking the hand. He's throwing it against the ring steps, against the apron. He's stomping on it. Melo then goes for a springboard, but gets pushed to the floor and drop kicked through the ropes by King. King then takes Melo off the ropes, and it looks like he's going for like the double stomp, but kind of sort of misses it and gets his shoulder, which looked actually like a pretty nasty landing for Carmelo Hayes here.
Yeah, I mean, this move, we saw Dragon Lee use this move twice in the match with Dom, eventually using it to win. This move is so contrived when done wrong. Like, I know this is, everyone talks about this, fans. It's a hot thing where it's like, all right, we'll just stand there holding this, waiting to be hit with a stomp. It's very weird. There's only few wrestlers that really like weave it into the story of like why they would be in that position holding it themselves.
It's on
like
the opponent as well. It's on the opponent to try and like, oh, I'm trying to pull myself back up on the ropes and get my balance or whatever. But it looked like he just hit the right shoulder and it looked pretty nasty. There's then a running knee to the back of the head from King, and then a series of backbreakers. And King offers his hand again and says, I want you to shake my hand.
Shake my hand.
Like the guy in the meme. Yeah.
I want to shake your hand.
And Melo goes to shake it, but flips him off and headbutts him in like the thigh here, the chest, the stomach.
Very effective.
Yes. They're then fighting on the top and both fall off the apron to the floor, which was a pretty cool spot, actually. Looked pretty nasty. Melo then fires back up, hits his springboard clothesline, his satellite face plant for a 2 count. King comes back with a jackhammer. Melo goes for his springboard DDT, but gets caught with a punch to the face. King goes for his backbreaker again, but kind of misses it. And then this allows Melo to follow up with nothing but net. And Melo puts Lexis King away.
He really hit that nothing but net. Yeah. That looked like maybe a receipt or something. He nailed him with it. I'm surprised he didn't get hurt from that one. But yeah, not the most exciting match. Lexis King instantly showing off that he hasn't really picked up any kind of sort of good wrestling style, because maybe, but in this match I was waiting for the battle of the flying clotheslines and we didn't really get that. We got Melo's, but like I thought for sure Lexis would break his out, but maybe better than I thought it was going to be, but nowhere near like, I don't even think that. I just thought it was kind of there. I'm more interested in, I like hating on Lexis King. So at least they're doing that right. But the match itself is also weird because it puts you as the viewer like, okay, but Melo is acting real sus lately. So he's guilty of something. But now Lexis King is taking credit for that attack. So they're going to fight. But it's almost like Melo doesn't even really want to do it.
Yeah,
because they are friends.
Everything felt a little off, I think. I think King, this is the most we've seen from him in ring since coming to NXT. And I'd say it's one of those matches where it's one of the better Lexis King matches we've seen, but unfortunately one of the weaker Carmelo Hayes matches we've seen. And you're completely right. The crowd just like Lexis King is a clear heel who we want to boo. Melo is a guy who is a baby face, but we don't trust him right now, so we can't get fully behind. And even the way Melo is presenting himself deliberately is, I'm not going to be overly flashy or my usual flamboyant self because I'm stuck in this kind of weird story at the moment. And just the placement of matches as well. You're going, okay, well, if you are actually fighting, I can't then believe it will be super Russo if after you fought it's like, aha, we are working together. So it kind of already just takes, all right, well, maybe Melo and him weren't working together. So I thought it was just okay. A bit of a bump in the road because the storyline, for those not familiar, is like the footage of the cameras, the security cameras, shows him following Trick into a room. So you assume, well, you did attack him, and then texting and Carmelo texting. But then he also cuts a promo after his match. And he does. He says, Melo, that was a hell of a match. And it wasn't me who attacked Trick Williams, but thank you for the PLE spotlight, my friend. So it's like,
oh my God.
It's like King just took claim this because it's like, you know what? I want to be on the pay-per-view. I want that sweet PLE, like get seen by more people, perform in an arena, get that little PLE pay bump. And that's why I've been fucking with you all this time.
Again, the best like anti-Riz thing. Thanks. I just jobbed out in 8 minutes, but thanks, man. I really appreciate you getting me on the pay-per-view. You beat me clean and you kicked my ass. I will say, when in the beginning of the match, as the bell rang, like Melo's got like some sweet braids in his hair as well. And the reason Melo beat the absolute shit out of him was because right before they like locked up, Lexis was like, "Look at my braids. They're better than yours." And Melo was like, "Shut the fuck up." Just started beating the hell out of him. So yeah, I was not allowed. I was not about to let this man disrespect Melo that much. So I'm happy he won. But yeah, just so ridiculous. This guy is literally like laughing and happy that he lost in 8 minutes here. It's like, what are you? All right. I love hating this guy. So
well, it looks like he's still going to be involved in this story because he says he knows who did it. So he's going to be the kind of Nikki Cross in this storyline where
no.
Yeah, exactly. He's the one they're going to try and get it out of.
Yeah. So then this kind of like shocks Melo. He's like, uh-oh, this guy could like expose me. Again, us, the viewer, we're all under the impression it's Melo. And obviously we'll, I think, lead to that reveal. But
yes,
there's a bit of a like bump in the road for this storyline. I'd still say maybe the Who Shot Trick Williams is better than Who's the Devil. But
100%. Yeah.
But like this was not helping its case for sure. We'll forget about this part of it.
We then get Cora Jade interviewed backstage. She says, "A lot of women were shocked to see me back and not ready to see me back, but I gave them 4 months to get ready, and I think I made my intentions clear. I'll see you on Tuesday." So yeah, just still kind of playing this mean girl gimmick, but I hope it works out this time round because I haven't been impressed with Cora Jade in this role, but she's had a bit of a break. Maybe she's improved a bit. We'll see on Tuesday.
Yeah, I hope the break helped her also get a bit better in the ring because she's got like an attitude. She's got definitely a presence and some mic work, but the wrestling was always something that struggled. Ever since the paper skateboard, man, definitely haven't let that go. So she's got a lot to ride in on.
We then get a commercial confirming that Vengeance Day will be on February the 4th in Clarksville, Tennessee. We'll be making our way to Clarksville.
Take the last train to Clarksville. I love that song by the Monkees. Where is Clarksville? Where? Sorry?
Tennessee.
Clarksville, Tennessee. Let's go. Is that close to Graceland? Can we like Nashville? Can we like
do both? Yeah.
Do both not? Maybe? All right. So
I like Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a good spot. Yeah, February 4th. So 10 days before Valentine's Day. So I'm excited.
Trick tells Melo backstage that he owes him an apology. He says, "I should never have let King get between us, and you whipped his ass." And Melo says, "You know the deal." Trick's like, "What?" He's like, "Whoop that Trick." So they seem to be pals again for now.
I don't say that. As soon as Trick walks off, the camera stays on Melo, and again, his face changes, and he's acting very suspicious. Very suspicious, y'all. I don't trust Melo. I'm still sticking with that. It's Melo because no friend would act that way. Why would he act all quiet and like scared and nervous? And he's going to keep acting like this because Lexis King has threatened to reveal the attack. So watch it just be like someone else. And it's like all of this leads to nothing. But
also shout out the YouTube chat tonight. RYN appreciates your Monkees reference. And
it's a banger. I love that song, man. I love the Monkees. Yeah.
And DJ Depression says it's close to Nashville. It's a small city.
Let's go. All right, you going? Who's
Let's
going?
Go.
Up next meetup in Clarksville.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We then go to our men's Iron Survivor Challenge where the winner will face the NXT champion at New Year's Evil. Dijak enters first and Josh Briggs second. And these are big lads wrestling, but doing a lot of smaller guys' moves with the kind of leapfrogs and drop downs and drop kicks. Briggs catches Dijak's foot and flips him back, landing on his feet, which I found quite funny because as he's doing this, Booker T's like, yeah, these guys remind me of JBL. And Vic is like, JBL never did that.
Yeah, Vic just buries JBL here. I was laughing at that. It was so funny. Oh my God. Yeah, Briggs and like I get what he means because like they're both big and kind of hosses, especially Briggs being the country boy and stuff. But yeah, as he's saying this,
it was the timing of the line.
Yeah, they're doing like all this crazy shit, and Vic just shuts him down. And is like, no, man, you're talking out your ass.
There's a big boot in the corner from Briggs and a pounce for a 2 count.
Period.
Dijak hits like the fall of heaven, the sit out chokeslam for a 2 count. Briggs comes back with a cyclone boot for a 2, and then Dijak hits the feast your eyes to pin Briggs for the first point right on the 5-minute mark. So Briggs goes into the penalty box, and Tyler Bate comes out. Tyler Bate's hitting the exploder in the corner. He does the airplane spin to Dijak. Briggs then comes out of the box and hits a big boot to Dijak, followed by a big clothesline, throws Bate out the ring, and gets his like retribution, shall we say, on Dijak, picking up the pin here. And then Briggs just goes right after Bate. He's throwing him against the penalty box, goes for another big boot, but gets caught up on the top rope, allowing Bate to come in with the flying uppercut. Dijak then comes out the penalty box as Tyler is hitting the Tyler Driver 97, which Dijak breaks up, but Bate then catches up Dijak with a roll-up and pins him. So now it's 1 apiece, and Dijak, before making his way to the penalty box, just punches Bate in the face, and Bate falls down onto Briggs, who had just been hit by the Tyler Driver, but the referee is too distracted to make the count as he's trying to get Dijak out the ring. He turns round and counts 1, 2, but Briggs kicks out.
See, was he the same ref as the one before? Maybe. Because they didn't count it when Fallon did it, but they counted it here. So,
so now Trick enters the ring. Trick just comes in like with these hot leg lariats, flying shoulder block. Dijak comes back out the box, and Trick clothesline Dijak, which causes him to catapult Bate, which was a pretty cool spot.
This is you're definitely underselling. Like I thought the crowd was pretty loud the whole show, but right away, Trick Williams got the biggest reaction during his entrance. Vic Joseph was mid-sentence talking to Book, and Book just goes, shut the fuck up. I need to do the ad-libs here. And he goes, what? Yeah. And the place fucking went so loud. They were jumping out their seat. And then to do that move, like, so who someone was on their knees. It's like poetry in motion almost, right? Like Air Sabu with a partner.
Oh, that's in a little bit. This was where Dijak kind of had Bate like in the catapult position, and Trick just delivers this huge clothesline
like right away. Yeah,
catapulting.
He just comes in, and like the crowd were just going absolutely crazy for him. So like he felt like the biggest star on this show. He got a bigger reaction than anyone else.
He then hits the pop-up uppercut on Bate, and this is where he then jumps off of Briggs' back with this huge clothesline, which just looked great.
Bate I watched this back a few times.
Bate breaks up that pin. Bate then does the airplane spin on Trick. Doesn't quite get the speed we used to see, and Trick slips out of it. And Trick does an airplane spin on his own to Bate, and Bate slips out of that, and then does the airplane spin again on Trick. And this time he's getting the speed, the rotations, and does the Cesaro UFO, where he puts his hands on his hips and sends him flying. This was great.
Very impressive. Like, considering Bate is smaller than Trick, like a lot. Like, Bate is significantly shorter than him. Trick has got a lot more weight on him. And to do that spot, like spinning him, he didn't do it quite like Cesaro, like whipping him around. But wow, that was very impressive. I hope because this one's like the torture rack instead of the fireman thing. Oh, it's so impressive.
Dijak breaks up the pin. Bate then hits a tope suicida to Briggs and the rebound lariat to Williams, and then hits the Tyler Driver 97, pinning Trick. So now Bate is the leader. He's on 2 points. Dijak on 1, Briggs on 1, Trick on 0. When Bron Breakker enters, best spear in the business. He hits the spear to Briggs immediately and pins him. Bate goes for his rebound lariat, but gets caught with the spear, pins him. Dijak jumps off the top rope and gets speared midair, pins him. So Bron is immediately within like 20 seconds the leader with 3 points. Trick then comes out of the penalty box, and they're going toe-to-toe, Bron and Trick. Bron gets Trick in the Steiner recliner, as we see Briggs, Dijak, and Bate are just all fighting in the penalty box. There's then the bookend from Trick, but Bron rolls out of the ring, and everyone's on the floor and out of the box now. And Trick flies off the top rope with a high cross, taking them all out. And then there's this big boot from Dijak to Trick for a fall. So now Bron's on 3, Bates on 2, Dijak's on 2, Briggs on 1, Trick still on 0.
Nil.
Yeah. Bron then hits the Frankensteiner onto Dijak, but it flies him into a Tyler driver, and Bate gets another fall. So now Bate and Bron are tied as the leaders with 3 apiece. This was a pretty cool spot. Like Bate was catching in midair here. This
was in the video games. Rey Mysterio, who used to do this? Rey Mysterio, Batista in the video games.
Okay.
They created this move. It obviously it's like the sit out Batista bomb, right? But
yeah,
you got the timing on it. You got to be pretty slick to catch a guy like that. Morrison and Miz, I think, used to do it too. Pretty impressive.
Right. Bron then hits this huge gut buster and hits from the second rope, like the moonsault fall away slam to Bate, which I don't think we've seen Bron do before. But
yeah, very hangman-esque.
Big guy. Yeah. But Briggs breaks up the pin. There's the bop and bang to Briggs. And then Dijak and Briggs go for a double clothesline to Bate. But Bate ducks, and Briggs and Dijak hit each other. But then they climb the top rope, and both at the same time hit these double moonsaults, and both pick up a pinfall at the same time. So now there's 4 minutes left on the clock. Bates on 3, Breaker's on 3, Briggs is on 3, Dijak's on 2, and
Trick on 0.
Still on 0. So we're going, what's going on? Briggs and Dijak then both go for a big boot, but they miss and take each other out. Bron and Trick are out of the box, and Williams is going into the ring, but Bron pulls him back and spears him through the barricade. Dijak then chokeslams Bron through the table, and Trick manages to get back in the ring, rolls up Briggs for a 3 count. So Trick is finally on the board. Dijak then hits the Feast Your Eyes to Trick, goes for the pin, but Eddie Thorpe runs out and pulls Dijak out. I felt maybe the crowd, not all of these watch week to week NXT, because they didn't have an idea who Eddie Thorpe was.
You know, as much as that's obviously a factor, I also think just like it was getting too like chaotic already. You didn't need this like at all. I know they want to further that feud, and the guy whipped his tree and stuff, but like it kind of everyone's just like, oh right, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But then it picks up right away because Trick rolls up Dijak for a 3 count. Bate comes off the top with a spiral tap, but Dijak rolls up Bate for the 3. And now, now you've got, Trick gets the 3 count here. So now you've got Bate, Breaker, Briggs, and Trick, I believe, all on 3. Bron comes back in the ring, and Trick Williams just flies in out of nowhere with a Roderick Strong-esque flying knee and pins Bron Breaker with 2 seconds left on the clock. So Trick, in like the last 3 minutes of this match, picks up 4 pinfalls, wins the Iron Survivor, and will be challenging the NXT champion at New Year's Evil.
Yeah, they say that both winners of this will face at New Year's Evil. And yeah, what an incredible like match. But the last few minutes were just so fast-paced and action-packed. Like the fact that he hit the knee and pinned Bron with legit 4 seconds before the clock hit. Like you always get nervous when they do these kinds of things because, you know, sometimes they don't always work out. I'm thinking back to WrestleMania 16 with the candy jar, but like they nailed it here. And again, Trick was the superstar in this match, held this show, and to have that spot with him like not getting any points. I thought the crowd kind of turned on the match for a second when Trick got pinned pretty early when he was in the match, and the crowd were like booing, like, what? Why would you do that? And I think it was all just to be like, look, he got pinned. He's not even getting any points. You think this guy just shouldn't even be in this match. You know, he's clearly the clearly the Genetti of Trick Mello gang, but then roll up, gets another one. It's very similar to what was it? The Survivor Series match with Ziggler when Sting came out and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was like all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. He's got that like next gear, that inner demon coming out, and just like the final with Bron, like pinning Bron with the knee is definitely like cementing him even bigger. But the crowd erupted.
It tied into, what Mello said to him earlier as well. It's timing and precision, and it's just his timing these last 3 minutes, just being there to get all these pins.
Yeah.
And as you said, like there's the was it the Adam Cole MJF match where like the bell went and they were saying like, oh, it's the time limit or whatever. I'm trying to remember the one, but there was one where like a tap out happens just after the bell or something. But this, we had the clock on the screen the entire time, so you could literally see the timing. And
they had lights. They had lights, red lights going off, and the people were screaming.
Doing something like a flying knee, he could have just come in, tripped over, missed it, not got the pin. Like it's. I thought they did it so well, and this crowd, this felt like a takeover level crowd here. Like they were so hot for this. Thought the final 5 minutes especially were electric, but I really enjoyed it. It definitely is the most like a video game, this like stipulation, I think, because it's just spamming finishes, like breaking up pinfalls. Like you hit your move, you think you've won it, but then someone pulls you out, breaks up the pin. I think it's really fun. This was my match of the night for sure.
Oh, easily match of the night. I mean, the women's one was pretty good too, but this one definitely got even further with the last like jaunt with Trick Williams pinning everybody and winning it, and the crowd just erupting. Like the crowd definitely helped this. I'd say the match really started to get cooking when Trick came in, because the sound went from like, okay, these two big guys, doing some cool moves, and then just like, oh man, you could hear people screaming. And like to think like Trick was just on his first impression in NXT definitely wasn't leaving too much of an impression, but now like fast forward, like wow, he's completely picked up and made it his own. He's got a little bit of everything, like the look, he's got the wrestling, he's got a bit of everything, and I could see this guy being a pretty big star in WWE. And just like wow, I know no one else got the reaction this guy got, and there was no other way you could have went with this without him winning, because like the match is at New Year's Evil, right? So him versus Ilja is also like following in the footsteps of the storyline for anyone who's been following for the past year, because he's had his match in his feud with Ilja, where Ilja is like, you're not ready yet. And
he's already earned Ilja's respect, hasn't he, in their last match?
So it could go one or two ways with the New Year's Evil thing. It could be like, hey, Melo's going to come out and cost his friend the match, being like, yeah, I attacked you. Or like I don't think Trick necessarily beats Ilja for the title, but in some way, shape, or form, in another scenario, like that would be fucking crazy if Trick could be the one to like beat Ilja. It could all be a ruse. He was never attacked. He just wanted the spotlight on him. No one attacked him. I just wanted to be famous, and that's how I beat. But I don't think he's a babyface, like pure babyface right now.
I think we're getting a classic NXT trope going to happen. I think Trick will beat Ilja, and Melo didn't come out to celebrate here with Trick either, which was like, But I can see it ending, New Year's Evil ending with the graphic coming up, Melo coming out, celebrating with his friend, the new champion, and then taking him out. And that will be your probably Tennessee, and then probably your Mania main event. What
absolutely.
Is Stand and Deliver. You know what? Sorry, I was going to say I really enjoyed Briggs and Dijak as well. As much as I love Briggs and Jensen, we feel there's maybe a bit of tension between those two. I'd love to see Briggs and Dijak as a team, because they're very similar with their moveset, like big lads who can, do top rope moonsaults and things. And I actually really enjoyed watching them work together in this match. So that's a pairing
it was super cool for Briggs, like getting that opportunity, singles opportunity too, like showing the world that he is capable of some great stuff. So I thought everyone in this match was doing the most that they could, and definitely was the show stealer in this PLE, because like, the back and forth between all of them, like Bate was in there. He's the vet who can like help orchestrate a lot of cool spots, and like that spin out spiral tap at the end. Like when things were already going crazy, then you have Tyler Bate doing that like insane move, which just like people are like, what the? You can see people in the crowd who've never seen that move before who are like, whoa. So hats off to these fine people because these 5 guys definitely put on one hell of a match here. So good stuff.
Then backstage, we see Metaphor, Briggs, Jensen, Fallon. They're all yakking at each other, get into a bit of a scrap. I imagine this is setting up for a match on Tuesday.
They announced it. Yes, they have announced. Okay. I think it's Noam and Mensa versus the tag team.
Okay. We then go to our cage match. Kiana James taking on Roxanne Perez. They've been feuding for quite a while. They had their Devil's Playground match at Halloween Havoc, and they had the unfortunate job of following that Men's Iron Survivor match.
Yeah, imagine like the crowd were so high, so hot, and for this match they came right back down. Even for a cage match, they were just pretty quiet. And I was beat too, man. I was like, whew, I don't know what to do after that. So they were definitely put in a rough spot.
So Kiana goes to catapult Roxanne against the cage, but Perez counters it and sends Kiana crashing face first. Roxanne goes for a high cross, but gets caught and slammed against the cage. At one point, Perez gets her hand caught in the cage, and Kiana's just kicking it repeatedly. She then delivers a spine buster on Rox. Perez leaps off the second rope with a Thez press, and then slams James face first into the cage. And now Rox climbs to the top of the cage. Kiana goes after her. They're both on top. They're kind of punching each other. They then kind of work their way back down to the ring with no one taking that big bump. And Kiana power bombs Roxanne. Kiana then slams Rox against the cage in the powerbomb position, but gets countered into Pop Rox. This looked good. The powerbomb into the Pop Rox I thought looked pretty sweet.
Yeah, I felt like for a lot of the beginning of this match, it was just they kept banging each other into the cage. So this felt like the final, like the first move, wow, they actually did something other than just throw him into the cage.
Kiana then tries to crawl out of the ring, but Roxanne grabs her, but James has grabbed a steel chair. Perez gets it off of her, starts lighting up James with chair shots, and then goes to crawl out the cage herself, but someone in a hoodie slams the door against Roxanne's head and reveals herself to be, I was like, oh, they've rehired Lacey Evans, but no.
Oh, I thought it was Tiffany.
It's Izzy Dane. We saw in the women's breakout tournament. Again, no reaction from this crowd.
Man, if they didn't know who Eddie Thorpe was, Bridgeport had no idea. It took me, I legit saw the interference and I went, oh, it's Tiff. And then like a bit time went on and I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's not. Oh, that's okay. All right. So yeah, a bit of look, it's great that we found a new G. We poured one out for G last week, but I don't know if this was maybe the best way to do it, but right away, I guess people saw her on this show that didn't see her before, but yeah, it was very quiet, like no reaction, pin drop. And Vic Joseph, bless him. But he's like, he's like explaining like it's this big thing. It's like, dude, no, come on,
that's
man.
Izzy Dane.
Yeah, it's like, who is it again? Yeah,
James
of her.
Yeah, she was fine. I think she went out in the first round, didn't she? But
yeah, but like she's got a look. I thought she was Tiffany, but like she's got a look. Maybe this will like work out for both her and Kiana. So at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing. It's just like the timing of it was
Kiana then hits like a kind of eat defeat sort of move using the steel chair and pins Roxanne Perez. This was fine. I really think they should have just put this on NXT on Tuesday in the next couple of weeks. Build it up as a bigger thing. You'd have had a like politer reaction to the debut. Yeah. We don't normally have this many matches on a takeover or like an NXT special.
Don't you dare call it a takeover.
Anyway, so I kind of think as hot as like the 2 Iron Survivor matches were, I don't think it really needed to be on the show.
I was very confused at why this was added because this show felt like it went later than NXT usually goes, right? Like this went right up to like 5 to 11. Yeah, like just shy of 3 hours. So I was really feeling the exhaustion during this one. I didn't really care for this match. And I like Roxy. I like Kiana, but you're absolutely right. If this was on Tuesday, it would have got a way better reaction. I think it would have been a lot more fresher, but it kind of got lost in the shuffle here, especially with the Izzy reveal. That will work better with the NXT crowd in Florida. But yeah, maybe my low point of the show.
Cage matches can be really restricting, and there are like talents that can overcome that. Obviously, you had that incredible like Young Bucks Lucha Brothers cage match and things like that. But in general, like they had a really fun like Devil's Playground match with all the gimmickry and stuff. But there's only so much you can really do in a cage, and especially in this PG era. And it was just dull when we just had such a electric like bang 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 kind of match, and then this is throwing you against the cage. Now you throw me against the cage.
Yeah, I can't stand it. It's so boring. It's just like do a normal match if that's the point. Like if you just but we'll see where it goes. I have hope for Kiana and Roxy in NXT and WWE. So it's just a little bit of a little bump in the road. They also aired a commercial for the Breakout tournament, the men's tournament, which does start this Tuesday, I believe, with some familiar faces. So I'm not sure which matches are specifically happening this Tuesday, but it looks like it will be kicking off on Tuesday. And then also shout out the Hives for their song Countdown to Shutdown, which I guess is fitting considering it's Deadline. But the Hives, they've done some wrestling themes, right? Chrissy Hemme, I think.
Okay, right, gotcha. We then go to the NXT Championship match. Ilja Dragunov taking on Baron Corbin. Corbin comes out on a motorbike. I'm sorry, but like, unless you're gonna ride that motorbike fast, ride it. We've seen it like when Undertaker came out recently. He's walking it nowadays. Back in the day, he'd zoom down that ramp, zoom around the ring. It's surely easier just to walk than walking this bike to the ring. It just looks goofy.
It does seem pretty goofy. Like if this guy legit rides motorcycles in it every day, then like why not? Maybe there wasn't any room to do it. Like is it a work hazard or something? But it does look.
Taker used to do it in arenas, didn't he? Like this is an arena. It's not the studio they film in. But
look, even Chuck Palumbo looked cooler on a motorcycle making his entrance. So like really, Corbin. And I don't know what's going on with the jacket. Is he like Dr. Zhivago walking a motorcycle with his Burn the Ship shirt on? I'm just like, what are you trying to be right now? I really don't understand. But shout out Sino, who went to quickly run to the washroom before this match in the venue and was not allowed to go back to his seat until this entrance. And Sino got a great video on his Twitter at Sino Evil, where they're basically security's like, wait, stop. And then the curtain opens and out comes Corbin walking his little Tonka truck motorcycle thing, just and then drives off for his entrance. But
Ceno's just yelling, "Yeah, Baron, burn those ships,
burn the ships!" It's pretty funny. I mean, this guy, if he's on the next PLE, if he's on another pay-per-view, his big entrance should be coming out on a burning ship. Like he should be on a ship that like comes out and it's on half of it's on fire and he gets off. Like that would be epic. But this guy just looks like play wrestler walking a motorcycle to the ring, like just sitting on it, kicking his legs like he's Fred Flintstone. It's very weird.
There are Corbin fans in Bridgeport because there were "Let's go Corbin sucks" chants. I think Sino and Frank might have been on the "Let's go Corbin" side.
Yeah, for sure.
We get into the match. There's repeated headlock takeovers from Corbin, and Corbin clotheslines Ilja to the outside. Ilja then clotheslines Corbin to the floor, and there's a German suplex from Ilja to the floor. Corbin then delivers a gourd buster on the table, and Vic is saying how, look, this table's been broken twice tonight, so we've reinforced it, and that's probably going to hurt Ilja a lot more. Corbin's now just dominating the match. Ilja goes for his top rope senton, but Corbin moves. Now Ilja's just ribs are all beaten up. Corbin comes off the top rope with a big clothesline and counters a suplex into a DDT and picks up Ilja and says, "You wanted a hug? Well, you got it." Obviously, the end of NXT last week was Ilja freaking out Corbin by hugging him. Delivers this big Uranage to Ilja, and then a dragon sleeper, which he turns into a gut buster. Now delivers another dragon sleeper, but Dragunov is fighting back with some knees to break the hold. Corbin goes for a choke slam, but Ilja breaks it with a knee to the shoulder and then comes flying in with him to knees to the ribs. So Ilja is now back in the race. He this time hits the senton, but it does a lot of damage to his own ribs. And now Corbin just delivers this big punch. Ilja comes back with one of his own. And then Corbin just delivers this huge standing Ilja delivers this clothesline like to the side of the neck, which looked brutal. And now this flurry of chops. He hits face washes in the corner, hits the German suplex for a 2. Corbin comes back with a choke slam off the top rope, but only a 2 count. Applies the Dragon Sleeper again, but Ilja gets out of it, delivers a Death Valley driver, goes for Torpedo Moscow, but gets caught in the deep 6. Now Corbin delivers a DVD of his own, followed by a Brainbuster, but only a 2. He goes for End of Days, but it's blocked. And now Dragunov tries to powerbomb Corbin, but can't quite get him all the way up. He falls to the mat, but then deadlifts him back up, and this time delivers a jackknife powerbomb, goes to the top, and clearly Shane McMahon's his favorite wrestler, hits the coast to coast, but Ilja's ribs are in so much pain. He then delivers 1 H-bomb, 2 H-bomb, a 3rd H-bomb, and now he picks up Corbin, hugs him, and whispers to him, and then delivers the Torpedo Moscow, putting him away 1, 2, 3 in, what was this, 20 minutes, 55 seconds. Ilja Dragunov retains.
Thank God. So what did he whisper? I said last week, it's like the end of Lost in Translation, but here it's like, you shouldn't have mentioned my family or something like that.
Probably, I'd imagine so.
Yeah. So we need more hugs in wrestling. We got 2 hugs in this match. So more hugs in wrestling. I like that. Kissing was the hot thing like a year ago in wrestling, but hugs. Let's bring hugs back in. Hugs are nice. Also,
I love a good hug.
Yeah, hug your friends, people. I like to hug people. If you're a family and a friend, I always hug you. We are huggers here at upNXT. But I didn't really care about this match. I didn't really get into it like I usually do when Ilja Dragunov. This reminds me of like when Danielson came back from injury, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. This guy's gonna just tear it up in WWE. And then they're like, anyways, his first feud's with Big Cass. And I'm like, all right. Like here, it's like Ilja's the champ. And I feel like we haven't gotten, aside from Melo, like proper opponents for him. So they went with the main roster guy. Obviously, Corbin, not one of my favorite wrestlers. I'm sure he's a really swell guy. He looks like a cool guy, but like his wrestling, man, is just so boring for me. And I got to give him props for doing Dragon Sleepers on the Mad Dragon. I got to give him props for trying Brain Busters, but I still just like could not get into it. And I think the crowd felt a bit fatigued as well. Like the crescendo of the crowd never got back to where it was earlier in the night, like even the opening matches and stuff. But like, I would say, I think going into this, I was going to say it's probably going to be one of Baron's best matches, but probably one of Ilja's worst. And I still kind of feel that way after watching it. So now I'm like, yeah, what's next for Ilja? Because if it's Trick, it's like we've seen that as well. And going forward, maybe the title goes off Ilja. I'm just not sure. But yeah, like this one definitely wasn't my match of the night. But you do got to give Corbin props for trying new stuff and trying to bring it as Ilja brings it to people. But I wouldn't say it got to like literally anywhere, and I never want to watch it again. So I'll give it that.
Yeah, I think there's just such a stink on Corbin now. I kind of
so stinky.
I think like I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to do. The guy can wrestle. Like he went 20 minutes here, he's hitting moves like it's, but, and like, I do like his promos. Like, I think he is genuinely hateable. And I think in a time when you got like a lot of, you know, like cool heels, he's definitely not one of them. Like he is someone who gets hate, but, yeah, it was fine. I'm with you. I'm ready to have like exciting feuds for Dragunov. This should have been a TV main event more than like a PLE. But I thought Corbin did put his working boots on. But yeah, I'd have probably ended with you know, the Men's Iron Survivor in hindsight, because that was so hot. And then have Ilja coming out holding up the title with Trick, rather than what we had here was Trick coming out and standing tall, facing Ilja to win the night. But, you know, I thought this was better than their first match, but still not really doing it for me. And I think it is just like, it's been so many years of Baron Corbin at this point, and I don't think he could have like the greatest match of the year. And I still think everyone would be like, but it's Baron Corbin.
Yeah, I don't even want to be like, oh, it's fun and cool to just hate on this guy. It's like, no, he's genuinely really boring. He puts me to sleep. I was in a great mood until this match. Actually, it was the cage match that probably brought me down. But this one, I stayed at that level for this because this is your main event. This is your world title match. Fire Frank showed me in a message he got the shirt for the event, and it's got Baron Corbin on it. And I'm like, Frank, I can tell you a place to get better shirts. It's very, very like funny that this guy is still getting these opportunities. But yeah, I hope we can not see him in NXT anymore because he doesn't really do much for me as a fan. But again, bless him for trying. But I want to see Dragunov. In fact, I want to see Dragunov move away from NXT too. So the whole Trick Melo thing, if it is for the title, that wouldn't be a bad way to get Ilja out of here, because the end game is Ilja versus Gunther at the Bash in Berlin later this year. And like, that's what the people need and what the people want in Germany. Like, let's go for that. So we still have months to get Ilja on the main roster and then like in a rivalry with Gunther, which hopefully they can go to. But yeah, I want some killer match. This guy is insane. This guy is one of the best wrestlers in this company. And I want to see some of the best wrestling. And I didn't get that from him tonight, but I don't think it was his fault.
Yeah, I know is it SmackDown? They've got a surprise like NXT entrant to enter this US title tournament. I wonder if you could maybe put Ilja in there and like, you know, then you've got Ilja as the US champion, Gunther as the IC champion, and you could lead to something down the road with those two, perhaps. Because I do think maybe it's best for the story to just get this title on Trick at this point.
Yeah, like Trick is the star of this show. As much as I'm loving off Dragunov, who is in fact bell to bell the best wrestler probably in this company right now. It's like Trick is the superstar. Like Trick is the crowd favorite, the people's champion right now, the uncrowned champion. So it does make things a little interesting for that New Year's Evil show. I will be honest. That is a pretty good like Trick winning and Ilja retaining. I'm like, okay, that means they got to fight a little. And Trick just keeps getting better. I feel like just as a fan, he's like a sponge, because when he had his feud with Ilja, that like he picked up some things from wrestling someone like that. You do that, I'm assuming, as a wrestler. And I feel like Trick has just been picking up little by little and like will be a mega star. Him and Melo will be running WWE in some way, shape, or form. Ilja too, man. Like this, there's some good crop here in NXT. And I can't wait to see where they end up and go. Like watching NXT is interesting because you could be behind someone and then like they disappear or they don't really make it someplace. But the latter is like watching these people like work on their craft and, you know, iron out some things and then just become like mega stars in WWE, Raw, and SmackDown. And I see some stars in this crop that will be those things, like your Tiffany's, your Iljas, your Melos and Tricks. And so overall, like I didn't mind the show. I think going into this show, I had the least hype for an NXT PLE in quite a while. I mean, maybe a bit more than some of the 2.0 era, but this card definitely still delivered because both Iron Survivor challenges were pretty good. So definitely still worth checking out. Absolutely.
I think absolutely check out those two Iron Survivor matches, especially the men's. I really enjoyed this show. I thought the crowd were really hot throughout. As I said, I think if you took if you removed the cage match, I think people might have been a bit more hot for the main event. And, you know, just keeping it a tight 2.5 hours, I think would have really worked for this. But I think NXT is in a good place right now. I think they've really built up a cast of characters that people are into right now. And the wrestling has come on so much. And I think one of their calling cards right now are these sort of multi-man matches. We had that fantastic 4-way a couple of weeks ago. And then like these matches tonight, they seem to book them really, really well. So I had fun tonight. I think it's for me, it ended up being on the higher end. And if you could have had more of an interesting main event, I think this would have been a killer.
Yeah, if it had a more solid main event, like even if it was like you know, and maybe not an Axiom or Nathan Frazer. I don't think they're at that level quite yet, but like someone like a wild card kind of thing where I don't think anyone really thought that Baron Corbin was going to win this one, but still a solid show. And the Iron Survivor challenges, the Iron Survivor challenge might not be as good as the Squid Game challenge, but there is a thing there that they could put those together and really make one hell of a challenge. But I really enjoyed. I liked both these ones better than the ones last year. If that,
and I mean, last year was in the CWC as well, I think. So it had the like added, like just that hot crowd really added to it as well. But I enjoyed. Like I remember the men's last year again being really good, but I thought they did a good job this year. I think I'm frozen on the thing, but I can still hear you. It seems like we're still streaming. I've got the beach ball of death, but we'll try and go to some feedback before I think hard reboot this thing. But I think we can make it to the end of the show.
I can still hear you.
You just have to stare at my beautiful frozen face. Do you have feedback open there?
I do. I'm going to read one here from Sean, who says, this PLE opened with 3 straight bangers. Axiom Frazer set the place on fire, and then the NA title match and the women's Survivor match kept the flames burning. We even got a nice little Punk pop to continue Punk's Goodwill tour. First dip of the night was the Melo and King match. This match was good, but just good. King trolling Melo for a spot on the show and the payday that goes with it was a nice scumbag touch, though. The men's Iron Survivor match was insane. Bron getting 3 falls in 40 seconds was topped only by Trick getting 4 straight at the buzzer to take it all. The cage match was sadly a dud. I don't buy Kiana James, and having Izzy Dame in that spot when she's barely been on TV was a terrible call. And if escape wasn't an option, why did the ref open the cage in the first place? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Like the commentary were very much like, oh, you can't escape. And then for the finish, the ref's like, oh, did you want to escape? And then she ran out for the interference. I was like, what? That didn't really make sense. The main event just brought it home with a stellar performance by Baron Corbin and the dual Dragunov greatness. That end shot, though, we see you, Melo. Bring on 2024. So the shot was Trick coming out. Whoop that Trick. But Melo being a little butthurt.
And we go to Magan, who says, smokes, this Dom pack hits different right now. Finally, Dragon Lee became the North American champion. Losing Wesley sucked, so this was a wonderful make good. It's time to let the man cook between SmackDown and NXT without tying the title up in Judgment Day nonsense. Stay the fuck out, Dom. It's a coin flip between the Iron Survivor matches, but I found the men's Iron Survivor had a bonkers finish with that Trick Willie comeback. The women's Iron Survivor did have great moments. All 5 women shined. Lash Legend pulling the Reigns stacking pin was nuts. Tiffany was the MVP, and it capped off with the return of Cora Jade. Melo King was fine. Dragunov Corbin played into both men's strengths effectively, and the post-match stare down with Trick and Melo nipping at his heels had me chomping at the bit for New Year's Evil. The cage match had the misfortune of following that hot finish to the men's Iron Survivor. Roxy needs an equalizer. Jade Cargill, anyone? The kickoff between Axiom and Frazer was dope. A strong pay-per-view to ride out 2023.
Thank you, Megan and Sean. Join the Poisonrana Facebook group. If you haven't already, search Poisonrana in Facebook. There's a page and a group. You can join it, and we post things like our feedback threads as we do every week on UpNXT. But yes, we've made it through the deadline. We've talked about it all. What will happen with NXT? There's a PLE in Feb. That's their first one as they promoted that one. And Vengeance Day, we're kind of assuming we're getting Trick Melo one-on-one if that's the case. But is there anything like there's a few people on this show that this may have been, I don't know if this was their last NXT like send off, but where do you see anything going for the next few months?
You could debut someone at the Rumble, couldn't you?
Braun, do what he did in this match. Come in, spear a bunch of dudes, throw people out, give him like the Roman spot. He doesn't need to eliminate 13 people, but he can eliminate like a bunch and people
have him in the final 4, you know, like give him that shine, have him the final 4 and have them team up like to eliminate him or whatever, like have Gunther eliminate him. And that's a feud set up. I think Bron, Tiff, Roxy, that they've done all there is to do right now in NXT, I think. But yeah, I am really enjoying NXT at the moment. It's definitely found its stride again, which is good.
Yeah, it's definitely picked up with some of the wrestling and the characters. And there's obviously always going to be the Degrassi high moments on NXT. But for the most part, they they're definitely delivering. And I mean, like, a lot of eyes were on this show. I'm sure there was a lot of WWE execs and maybe TKO and all that stuff, like, being right there in Bridgeport tonight. So I'm sure they got a nice pat on the back for delivering a pretty good show here tonight. So let us know if you agree or disagree with some of the stuff we said at Poisonrana Pod on Twitter and Instagram. This Tuesday, we will be back with a new Up Next right after NXT on this very Post Wrestling feed. Davey, you will be away, so I will be joined by Dickie Bird, and we will be chatting all about some fallout from NXT Deadline. And I'm sure we'll also be talking about our new t-shirt website, chopped-tees.com. Go check it out and support your boys. Buy some hoodies, buy some hats, whatever we got up there. There's a lot of fun and great looking stuff there. So go check it out. And we have a Patreon, don't we, Davey?
We do indeed.
Well,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I was going to say we have a Patreon, which this week we did a review of NXT from February 19th, 2014. I'm going to put this up tomorrow on our Patreon, which means the next episode of What's Next that we do will actually be NXT Arrival. So we'll be doing that show in about a month or so on our Patreon, which we have never fully talked about. So I'm very excited to do that. But we're recording a show this Tuesday for any of our fans of the Lord of the Rings podcast that we've done. We just did a review of the Two Towers just a few weeks ago. And this week is the 20th
anniversary, yeah,
of Return of the King. Yes, so we're going to be chatting all about that movie on this week as an episode of Up Yours. We have so many other shows. December 20th, live on the Poisonrana feed, we are having our Poisonrana Christmas party, so join in for that. The next day, we got the Wrestling Quiz of the Year with Bushby and a whole bunch of guests, so looking for that. Again, follow the socials for everything that we do, because we have so many great podcasts coming out in the next little month, whether it's the free feed, whether it's the Patreon, and of course, all the boys and peeps at postwrestling.com are always keeping it busy too. So we can't do without you fine people out there. So appreciate you people for checking us out and hanging out with us tonight, as we're going a little later tonight, but appreciate the fine people in the YouTube chat. So follow me, Braden Harrington, at the Brady on Twitter and Instagram.
And you can find me at Davie Portman.
That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And Otani, you really upset me, but yeah. All right.
Ahoy!
First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.